Welcome to the RavensSpace on YouTube. My name is Jason, and this is RavensSpace Daily, where we give you Baltimore Ravens news every single day. Thank you guys for joining me. Please subscribe to the RavensSpace on YouTube if you're not yet subscribed, and we'll hop right into the news. First, I want to say that this episode is brought to you guys by the RavensSpace Patreon. Take a look at it. You help us, we help you, we give you prizes, early access to videos. We even ask your advice on some of the things that our channel does. We only ask for $1 a month, so please jump right in. And then the first story of the day is talking about the top quarterback wide receiver connections in the NFL. And this is from NFL.com. It's a fun story. And they give their top 10 quarterback wide receiver rankings. And at number 8 is Joe Flacco and Brashard Perriman. And I'll put the quote here for you, and I'll read it to you guys also. It's very short. It says, Perriman's career has yet to get going, but he has big hands and the ability to become an outstanding receiver in the NFL. He has the potential to become an explosive talent, something special, perhaps the best wide receiver Joe Flacco has ever played with. Flacco should be throwing to Perriman early and often, with Steve Smith and Dennis Pitta now both out of the picture. So basically, it's what we all been hoping for, what we all been thinking, and the NFL writers also believe the same thing, is that in order for us to be successful, Joe Flacco has to get on the same page with Brashard Perriman, and they have to make a connection that hopefully can get this offense jump-started. Now, last year, Brashard Perriman had a okay year, but the thing is that he had great numbers for a third receiver. And I believe a commenter pointed this out to me. He had the best numbers of any third receiver in the league, and it wasn't even close. And it's a lot of it is due to his speed and run after catch, especially that big run after catch in Miami. But he's able to make plays, those splash plays that the Ravens need in order to become a great team. I'm excited for him. I think he's going to be my breakout player of the year, and I will keep a track on him. I hope you guys do too, and I might even take him on my fantasy team. And he's a great player, so I'm super excited to see how he plays, and how him and Joe Flacco play together, because now we need both of them to have the great connection in order to win some games in the NFL. And we're gonna move on to the next article of the day. And I kind of didn't want to do this article because it's kind of like kicking somebody when they're down, but it was an article that I found. It's a light news day, so I want to put it out there. And the Bleacher Report ranked every NFL team's biggest mistake of the past decade. They picked drafting Matt Elam as the Ravens' biggest mistake of the past decade. And I really do feel bad for this guy because he had a lot of potential coming out. He was supposed to help the Ravens' defense get back to a great place. Even though the Ravens' defense did help win the Super Bowl, a lot of people kind of think of them rosier than they were. The Ravens' defense was an average defense that year. For example, they were ranked 17th in pass defense. And what happened is that Joe Flacco got hot, and the defense was able to hold up well enough in order to make stops because they were led by the emotional leadership of Ray Lewis. But he was supposed to come in and help out, and he just couldn't. And he couldn't play coverage. He wasn't a great tackler. In college, he was one of those players that was more aggressive than you were, and would hit you. But in the NFL, everyone's aggressive and everyone will hit you back. So it wasn't a good fit. And then one stat they gave is that he allowed a quarterback passer rating on him of 120, right? Which is insane. Perfect passer rating, I believe, is 153.1. And so I was hurt when I saw that number, because that kind of just means you find him, you throw the ball at his area, and you have a good chance of getting a completion and even a big play. So that's it for now, and I'll move on to the next story. And then the next story is one that's kind of sad too, but it's very uplifting in a way that players are sharing knowledge that they have. And Ray Rice and Corey Redding serve as like a cautionary tale. They spoke to the Ravens rookies about some of their trials and tribulations. And so, again, Ray Rice had his whole issue. We all know it. And for him to come back and talk about it, while he's not in the NFL, is kind of powerful. Now, he did it last year, and it's just that he was a good running back who, if all things were, said and done, he would have played in the league again, right? If his position wasn't running back, he would have played in the league. If he was a quarterback that was as good as he was as a running back, he would have played in the league. But as a running back at a position that is not very valued anymore, he just never made it back. And I don't think the Ravens should have signed him back. I do agree from a PR perspective. So, but him coming back and talking to the Ravens rookies is an awesome thing. Corey Redding, and I didn't know this before I read the article, but his accountant was accused of stealing $4.5 million from him. And, being a young player and making millions of dollars, is a tough thing from a monetary tracking aspect, especially if you came from a poor neighborhood or a poor background. So they both came, they talked to the rookies, they coached them up, told them what things they should do, what things they shouldn't do. And I'm super happy that, they're still a part of the organization because they have information that they can teach. So, and it's awesome that they did that. And finally, we finish up with the mailbag question of the day. And this question comes from William. And William asks, which player is currently surprising you in Ravens OTAs? Thanks so much for your question, William. And for me, it has to be Kennedy. Again, a lot of people wrote him off, right? Because he was a late round draft pick last season. And he really didn't play a lot. And then we added so much talent in the defensive back position, it was hard for us to see him play again. But now with the injury to Tavon Young and his stellar play in OTAs, he has a chance to be a real difference maker and a real dark horse. And a lot of people, are thinking that he could compete for that slot position. Now, I don't think he's ever played the slot before in college. I believe he was a main, cornerback on the outsides. But if they can teach him up, he has enormous potential. He is one of those players that's always around the ball. If you guys ever seen a cornerback like Marcus Peters, where, of course, he's not as good as Marcus Peters, but Marcus Peters is always around the ball 24/7. The ball just finds him, right? Ed Reed was the best at this, but Ed Reed was a safety. But as a cornerback, when you can get your hands on the ball, that's what you're valued at. Safeties are valued getting their hands on the ball, but also catching the ball. Cornerbacks, if you can get that ball to the ground, you have enormous value in the NFL. So I think Kennedy is my surprise player. So I think that's the player that's going to stand out. And I think he has a chance of even starting at that slot position. I really do. So thank you guys so much. Thank you, women, for the question. This has been the RavensSpace Daily for Friday, June 9th. So I'm happy that you guys are here to join me. Thank you guys so much, and go Ravens.